So it's great to have you here. And we actually, for the first time in it feels like 3 or 4 shows, have a little news to work over. Some of it directly relates to the Niners. Others relate to the Brandon Aiyuk situation. I guess we start with Jauan Jennings, who is the headline grabber of the week out of Santa Clara. He didn't sign his restricted free agent tender. Instead, he agreed to a 2-year deal, which is akin to a 1-year extension. The contract worth $15.4 million, including $10.5 million guaranteed. I think we all vote yes on Jauan Jennings. I know that they just paid $10.5 million guaranteed to a guy who caught 19 balls last year. Is that it? Like, he didn't have many receptions. He wasn't that big. He's about as forgotten a third wide receiver as you're going to find in any sort of a passing game plan. But we all vote yes on Jauan Jennings. But I'm kind of surprised that they extended this to him with as deep of a wide receiver room that we keep talking about. So obviously, you know, they envision Jauan Jennings not being usurped by Ricky Pearsall or Cowing or Trent Taylor here, Larry. They paid him like they're going to play him.
Well, I mean, he's been their best receiver in a lot of their biggest games. So, I mean, if they won the Super Bowl, he was the Super Bowl MVP. He's played big in big games, you know, third in Jauan. You know, he's got great hands. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of a big moment. And to me, this, you know, and you know, so Kyle loves him. And I think, you know, the one thing about Jennings, he's got elite ball skills, a huge catch radius. So he's been really good with Purdy. But now you've added other guys who can do kind of what he can do. But I think this really kind of, you know, ends that, you know, signals that the end is near for Deebo Samuel because they're going to re-sign Aiyuk, you would think, even though their two sides remain far apart. I would imagine that gets done right before he hits the field come July. And the question now is just, are the 49ers, you know, being totally straight with us when they say that Deebo and everybody's going to be here for the year?
No, they're not.
Have they come out and even said that, really? Have they just indicated it? Or is Deebo going to be moved after June 1st, which, you know, could be tomorrow, right? I mean, I guess, 2 days from now. He could get moved after June 1st, or they could hold him for the year and try to move off of him at the end of the year. But
by the way, Larry, me and my sources and I can confirm June 1st is indeed tomorrow.
Yeah. So he could be dealt anytime after June 1st at a more advantageous situation on the cap than it is pre-June 1st. So there's always that to keep in mind. But then does it make sense to trade a player the caliber of Deebo Samuel in your Super Bowl window? That doesn't seem like it's like a really good idea. So we shall see. We shall see. Either Deebo's going to get moved before the season, or Deebo's probably involved in his final season with the Niners. He's given the Niners a lot. He's been a great player, but it looks like all indications are he's the guy who's going to get bumped.
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I don't want it to happen, but I don't have a problem with it based on, you know, the beatings that his body has taken. He is not, I don't think, ever played every game in a year. He probably never will. If he's not being used like a running back, his value goes from that's a lot of value to that's a good wide receiver who you want more from. You want more from. I mean, go back and just look at Deebo's year last year. He didn't have too many blow you away games. He didn't.
But what was the biggest game of the year? Going into Philly and winning, and he was huge in that game.
Played well in that game. He really did. Your number one.
And he's played big in a lot of big games. I mean, he played big in Super Bowl 54.
Has to have more than a big game. You know what I mean? You have to.
He was their best receiver in Super Bowl 54 in the first half. They just didn't get him the ball at all in the second half.
Right.
He was the MVP at
that's a long time ago, Larry. It's a long time ago.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I mean, he it's not like this guy hasn't played good football. He's played good football in some big games.
He's been great, but the way that they use him no longer matches the amount of money that they paid him, and maybe that gives them, you know, the pause on Aiyuk. They don't throw the ball quite as much as other teams do. So maybe there's going to be a philosophical change there, and they are going to throw the ball around a little bit more. Maybe Deebo is the guy that gets moved. To me, the other headline of this week that really stood out is, and it's funny, I brought him up when we were talking about how much you can pay a group of wide receivers. You know, Tyreek Hill is one of the biggest paid wide receivers in football. And I just asked, well, what about Jalen Waddle? What's Jalen Waddle making? And you said, well, he's still on his rookie deal, which he was. Well, he just got extended, right? A 3-year, $84.75 million extension, $76 million guaranteed. So we got the Miami Dolphins so leaning into two wide receivers in terms of one guy's making north of 30. The other guy is approaching 30. He's in 27, 26 a year, whatever it is.
28.2.
28.2. Thanks. I didn't have the number in front of me. It was that's kind of a new way of looking at how you pay your wide receiver room. And again, what feels abnormal today does become normal tomorrow. But that is, again, the cost of doing business with Brandon Aiyuk is only going up. It's only going up. So how they get that done, when they get that done, you know, we did this on Wednesday. Brandon Aiyuk, blah, blah, blah. I'm tired of talking about it. It's like, you know, get it done or don't. They'll probably wait. There'll probably be more acrimony. There'll be 2 more months of what is, rumors and handshaking and headline ringing and all that nonsense. But starters get paid. If you're a starter in the NFL right now, you're making about $20 million a year. You know, unless you play in a non-premium position, you're the center, you're the guard. Starters are making you the fullback. Good starters make $20 million a year. Every position in this league, every position. There's no position that is immune to the $20 million price.
Colton McKivitz is making $7 million.
Well, he's the deal of the century if he's a functional starting right tackle.
I mean, my problem is not with what any of these guys are making. It's with the 49ers and when these deals are getting done. They keep making the same mistake over and over again. They waited forever on Deebo Samuel. They didn't get a great year out of him when he signed. They waited an eternity for Nick Bosa. They didn't get a great Bosa year. It wasn't a vintage Bosa year. And if they wait until, you know, late August or early September or later to pay Brandon Aiyuk, odds are he's not going to have a great year. So I don't know that I love their, you know, it's one thing that Parag's a tough negotiator and saves them nickels here and there. That's great. But the timing of getting these signings done, I don't think has been advantageous or beneficial to the Niners in their efforts to win a championship.
I mean, I'd agree with you. There's not a lot of training camp hangover, slow start hangover that's really affected this team at the end of the year, though. I didn't see them lose an NFC title game or a Super Bowl and thought, oh, man, that slow start in week 3, you know, still haunting them. But I hear you. No, it's you want everyone on the same.
Would they've beaten Philly if that game hadn't been in Philly? And if they're ready to roll early in the year 2 years ago, do they have to venture out on the road? I mean, it's like anything else. It's like you got to win games, whether you win them in December or win them in September. You got to win games to get that 1 seed. The 1 seed is the ultimate prize right now. And when you look at the teams that they're going to have to face in the playoffs, Green Bay, Philadelphia, Detroit at the top of the list, those are not necessarily easy places to play. So it might be in their best interest to get these deals done a little bit sooner and try to start a little faster, you know, and have their crucial players actually have big time career type years in the year they sign a contract. It hasn't happened yet.